Back once again for the renegade master. 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 Back once again for the renegade master.
Hello my renegades and welcome back, and you know we are getting back into Love is Blind series 2. We are now on episode 7, and let me just say this episode oh lord, I don't even know what to say about this episode. I don't even know what to say about the behaviours of Javen, but all I can say is I told you so. That's all I can say. I am going to blow my own too, because I literally told you so when it comes to the behaviours of Javen at the end of the day. We will get to what it is that I'm talking about, okay? Anyway, before we get into this video, as I always say, please hit that subscribe button, please hit that notification button so we know when I do videos. Please comment, like, share and do the good things that you do, because I continue to be on the road to 1k. We see Barda and Jed are planning to meet one of Barda's good friends. We also see Katisha and Javen, who appear on the face of it to be all in now that Katisha has had that chat with Damola, and they're en route to Javen's home. All I'm gonna say is that this girl is hella excited, yeah, to see his family and his people, and all this man is thinking about is having a nap. That's all this man is thinking about, is having a nap. And I'm like, you can't even make the effort to be excited for Katisha to see your people. Like, seriously cannot. You see Megan and Kieran, they've gone to Blackpool. He's gone all out for this day in Blackpool, basically. He's rented out the Blackpool Tower room and done his day in there. And he wants, like, to be able to plan out their steps in terms of the wedding, and wants Megan to be able to teach in some steps in terms of their first dance. And I thought, like, he's gone all out. He's very, very cute. It's very cutesy. We'll see how far it takes them. So we go back to Ashley and Billy, and let me just say, this morning, first time ever, very, very awkward between the both of them. The quietness is speaking volumes. That's all I can say. So Ashley wanted to delve into basically what happened when they went food shopping, and Billy, I would say, treated her like almost like a child, but also like one of his army people in terms of the food that he eats. She basically tells him that she was very overwhelmed by the way he spoke to her, especially when he speaks about food. And I thought it was petty, but it kind of gave some insight into how Billy could be in a marriage, to be honest with you, when it comes to certain points of decision making, because he is so rigid in what it is that he does in terms of his own schedule. And I believe that, yeah, it may be too much for some people to be able to take that on board, and I could understand what Ashley was saying. So Billy thinks food is not regimented for him. I was like, mate, key word is actions speak louder than words at the end of the day, because this man came off so regimented and so stuck religiously in regards to how he perceives food to be in his life and what he does, and the only times that he lets loose is around Christmas, yeah. And he expected Ashley to be the same in terms of telling her like a child, you are not having no sweet cupboard in the house, means you have an issue with food, means it's very regimented for you in regards to what it is that you do, because you, as Billy said, wants to keep this persona in terms of giving like something to look up to for the people that he trains within the army, because he's kind of like, well, if I go off and eat all these foods and I'm telling these people in training, especially in the army, that you need to be eating X, Y and Z or doing X, Y and Z, how is that giving them any type of impression of what it is that he's meant to do if he's not doing it as well? It did come off as rather obsessive, let me just put it that way. And basically Ashley began to feel guilty in the snack cupboard that she started. He says, like, because his job is in the health and fitness realm, basically, it makes him a certain way about food. So for him to say he is not regimented is BS, to be honest. And in his explanation as to how he was and how he came off, is kind of invalidating what Ashley felt in that moment. So he likes to have a part of his life where he's basically in control, which is down to his calorie intake and so on and so forth, basically. But that doesn't automatically mean when your wife is going to follow suit at the end of the day. Yeah, his wife may have done that, but Ashley is not going to do that. Ashley feels when he talks about food, he's very controlled about it. Ashley's relationship with food is completely different to Billy's, and she does explain to him about the fact that she was very much bullied when she was younger because she literally was, as she quote unquote said, a beanpole, and she used food in order to beef up, in order to put some weight on, to make her feel more confident in the skin that she was in, to feel more self-assured in the skin that she was in. So one person doesn't automatically know what the other person is going through, so these are things that they will have to learn about each other. And Billy says that he didn't want to put any pressure on her, and is right, he didn't know what she was going through and what her relationship to food was at the end of the day. But when you're speaking about food, you do have to have a level of sensitivity about it, because different people have different relationships when it comes to food. And he was a bit of a bugbear at the end of the day when he was literally telling this girl, you can't have a snack cupboard, you can't have this, you can't have that. So Billy is now backtracking on what he says and telling Ashley she shouldn't feel guilty about her having a snack cupboard. She wasn't at the point of hearing what Billy was saying because she was on her soapbox at that point. So Billy does appreciate Ashley talking about it and wants to show her, like, you know, he isn't this way fully and that he can compromise, but we shall see. We shall see. So you see Barda and Jed, they meet Olivia, who is Barda's friend. So Olivia meets Jed, and Barda describes Olivia as basically her security guard, because if Liv don't approve of you, nobody's getting in, basically. So she's seen Barda at her worst in terms of the relationships that she has had. So she's a little bit standoffish when she initially meets Jed, let's just put it that way, because when Jed is like, okay, let's do a little cheers, she says, yeah, I don't think we'll do that yet, because I don't know you yet and I need to get to know what it is that you're about. So I was like, okay, my girl, I just hope you don't block the blessing that is for Barda, essentially, in Jed. So Jed does say for him it's love when the question is asked, and so does Barda. It says a lot when they both look at each other in terms of going to answer a question. Before they answer it, they seek reassurance from each other. So basically they're on the same page with each other. Liv does ask a lot of questions, let me just put it out there. She does. She's a good friend, she asks those questions. Jed ain't afraid to answer the questions that she's putting out, and she basically does highlight the fact, like, have you had an argument or a disagreement yet? And Jed talks about the example of him cutting spring onions wrong and Barda had him cutting them currently. So mate, what you're saying is you two have not had an argument yet, so you don't know how you be in that moment to be able to rectify or at least try and listen to each other in terms of building your foundation that little bit stronger when you have a disagreement. So Barda commented, like, you know, it has been so easy and so natural, and Liv point blank said, well, I've heard that before in the relationships that you've had before and they didn't work out. And to be quite honest, Liv is saying she doesn't want to see Barda in that space again, basically, which is true. Which is good of her to say, basically. Liv is basically saying that she's not leaving anything to chance and she wants this to work out for Barda, but she's also seen Barda on the opposite side, and as I said, she doesn't want to see it again. Barda does give a gigantic sigh, and you see Barda say to the cameras that even though Liv sees it as though it's too good to be true, this is her life and she has to make the choice, basically. But then she goes on to say, well, why can't it be just that, too good and true? So for Barda and Jed, they're saying that, you know, Barda's last relationship is incomparable to what she has with Jed at this moment in time. And Liv says, well, I hope that's the case. But at the end of the day, she says that she'll be honest with Barda and with Jed, and she says that she sees a little red flag because they haven't had an argument. Me, myself, I don't think it's a red flag per se, probably more of an amber one at the end of the day, because if they haven't had an argument, it literally isn't the end of the world, to be honest, as the real work really starts, in my opinion, if they say I do to each other. That's when the real work starts in order to keep a marriage going. So you see, it flips to Sarova, and she's talking about getting texts from her mother and she's struggling, basically. Her mom is struggling basically to understand Cal and Sarova in the experiment. So she is basically saying to Sarova, like, you know, you may have signed up for this, but I haven't. What does that mean for Sarova? At the end of the day, Sarova is talking about to Cal how she is the eldest, so a lot of pressure was heaped upon her shoulders, and she's also always followed the norm of her family, and this is the first time she's broken away from that norm. And her family probably don't know what the hell to do, because she's done something that they would not have expected her to do, basically. So Rovers talks about that she has feelings of guilt in terms of putting herself first, but it's kind of like how she then navigates those feelings in dealing with her family and Cal. And I'm kind of like, well, you have to put your relationship first. That doesn't mean she has to ostracize her family, but she needs to make clear and present boundaries at the end of the day in terms of where she is with Cal, what she loves about Cal, the fact that she's happy, and I hope her family integrate with what it is that she's saying. So Cal is literally by her side through all of this as well. And when it push comes to shove, it's how far Sarova is able to step outside of those traditional Indian values that she holds high at the end of the day. So Cal basically says that he hopes when he does meet her mum, she'll be able to see who he is and how they are together, and be able to like be comfortable in backing off a little bit, as he doesn't like seeing Sarova so upset about this. He feels like, as he says to Sarova, that her mum is either there or she isn't, and that he can give some reassurance to her mum, but she should be there no matter what, no matter how she feels about the situation. And I thought, mate, you're dealing with an Indian family at the end of the day, and this is their eldest girl child. There's going to be some difficulties on that road ahead at the end of the day. It ain't going to be as smooth as what you're hoping it will be. And basically, as a Pakistani man, Cal will experience the world differently to how Sarova experiences the world at the end of the day. So you see Sarova speaking to the cameras, and she's like, says that I've never had to stand up to my mother before at the end of the day, and she thinks that it's probably overwhelming for her mother, and Sarova is feeling like she's in a bit of a pressure cooker, which isn't fair on her, to be honest with you. But then it's going to come down to Sarova being strong enough to be able to tell her family this is it, this is what she wants, and this is who she wants to be with, and sell it to them as best she can, because that's essentially what they're going to have to do. So then we move on to Kent, where we see Katisha and Javen and go to his home. He's got a nice home, let's just say it that way, but the way in which they present him with each other, it doesn't seem like he really wants Katisha up in his business. They don't know how to act with each other at all, to be honest with you. She feels like her and Javen are in a good place, and to me it's more of a probable friendship than anything else. I ain't getting nothing more from them at all, but you can let me know in the comments what you think. She says the communication with Javen needs improvement. She wants more vulnerability from him, and I'm just like, Katisha, my love, you can keep wishing that until the day is long. At the end of the day, I don't see it coming from Javen. He's not in that space to be able to be vulnerable with this girl, and she is literally pushing at heels, is what I'm saying. So she's sitting on his bed with him, and she goes, oh, I can definitely see you bringing me my morning coffee. The man's response was maybe. He said maybe. I don't see the vibe between them. I think Katisha is pushing at it, but Javen ain't having it at the end of the day. So Javen doesn't like duvets. He has this old blanket on his bed that he said he has since secondary school, and I think it's definitely something that his mum bought him, because I've seen them blankets before in a Caribbean household. You know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know, at the end of the day. So Katisha is looking hella shocked and slightly disgusted by the fact that he's got this old blanket. Yeah. And I'm like, every household that I've been in has a duvet. Why do you not have a duvet at the end of the day? What does he do in the winter time for real when he needs to get warm? Like, literally. So he asked Katisha, like, does she have any fears or worries about moving in? And she says, like, you know, they're both independent. She worries about managing their expectations of each other. That did not answer my question at all. That did not answer the question at all either, I should say too. So he asked, well, like, what are your expectations? And she said, aligning schedules so that we can eat together. I was like, mate, what? That's it? That's your only expectation of this marriage if you moved in with him? I thought, Jesus wept. The way she's talking is like it's just literal bare minimum she's expecting from this man, and he can't even give her that, let me put it that way. So he ends up asking her how frequently, and she says pretty frequently. This man needing numbers. All this says to me is he will find ways not to do it. He will find ways to be away. He doesn't want Katisha coming in to change anything drastically, yeah. Imagine saying, I need numbers, yeah, to know how frequently you want me to be home for us to share meals together. Gets me into thinking he don't want to spend no time with this gal at all. So he says, basically he works late. From Monday to Thursday, 6 till 9. He's not there at all. Why? If that ain't telling Katisha something, I don't know what will, because that was plain as day. He don't want to spend time with you, love. He don't want you there, love. So this man said, unless you want to eat late, we ain't seen each other for dinner for 4 days. Katisha says she can eat late as she usually goes to the gym after work and gets back around 9 or 10. This man was like, oh, but I'll be in bed by 10 p.m. though. The excuses this man is giving for him not to spend his time with Katisha is unfounded. Let me just put it this way. Katisha, I thought, my love, read the room. Seriously, read the room and listen to what it is that's coming out of this man's mouth. Like, seriously, he don't want to be with you. Least of all, spend space with you. He's not going to make time for this girl. Like, if you do happen to be ready to eat with him, he's saying he's going to bed. So you can see Katisha is beginning to think, as her face clearly shows, she is not happy with what he's saying. She's saying, in the pods, he was holding back. I thought, no, love, he weren't holding back. This is who he is. This is his personality. This is what you chose at the end of the day. So now she's thinking, oh, this is something more that they need to work on. I don't know how much more they can work on, to be honest with you, because before she realises that this man don't want her, I really don't. All he wanted was to win out from Damola. He's got that now, and now he doesn't want to put the effort in with this girl. But currently, he's stuck where he is in making Katisha jump through hoops, because that's what he's doing. He's making her jump through hoops to see how far he can push her before she calls it a day. So he actually said, my mum said, a promise is a comfort to a fool. That's why he don't make promises. And I was like, did he just call Katisha a fool? Because why? That girl needs to get gone. Javen is not good for her at all, but she can't see it. She can't see it until it slaps her in her face. She ain't gonna be able to see it, like, seriously. So you see Megan and Kieran are continuing their date. They're getting on well with each other. And Megan feels the same, so I ain't going to talk too much about their date. You see Katisha and Javen are getting ready to meet his mum and his sister. And he says that Katisha is the first person to meet them, basically. It's his first serious relationship. And I thought, dude, this is your fiance, Javen. She's not a girlfriend. This is your fiance. And I'm just like, he ain't that serious about her. He ain't. He really isn't. When they said talk is cheap, they meant Javen. That's all I'm going to say. Because, boy, sir, he not trying at all. He not trying at all. She's accepting less than bare minimum. And this is why I said her bar is in hell. Yeah. In terms of what it is that she will expect from a man. So we have Carmen, who is Javen's mum, and his sister Danielle. They do greet Katisha warmly, but we shall see how this continue. So Javen gets his cat back from his mum. Like, he's literally all touchy-feely. His mummy's. And basically she tells Javen that he needs to go see a barber, and Katisha is feeling like the odd person out because you can see her in the background smiling from ear to ear, but she doesn't know where to put herself, basically. So I was like, hold on a minute. His mom came to visit them two to be introduced to his potential fiance, and she came and cooked. She came and cooked food for them. He didn't have nothing on for them to eat. I thought that is piss poor behaviour at the end of the day. So Katisha's at the table and she didn't even take off her jacket in order when she sat down to eat. And I'm just like, Javen has no whole skills at all. And I thought, this girl don't feel comfortable in this man's house. So man went on to talk about the experiment and basically said, like, you know, I proposed to Katisha and now she's my fiance. That's how he put it. His sister's face dropped like a ton of bricks. She was not happy with that prospect at all. Javen and his mum started laughing, and even Katisha joined in that laugh, and I thought, no, my love, they're not laughing with you, they're laughing at you. That's the impression that I got when him and his mum started laughing. And I thought, this dude is not serious at all. Everything is like a joke with him, and that's how he's treating it. So the only time the man went quiet was when his sister says, oh, okay, you're engaged to get married, are you ready to get married, Javen? And he just went quiet and went, So his sister said, Javen, are you ready for an honest answer? Like, his answer should be no. Like, seriously, no. But he didn't say a damn word at that question. And looked at Katisha, and I'm like, well, what do you want her to say? Like, seriously, what do you want her to say? She had a smile on her face, but she looked very unsure at this time. So his sister, like, was basically going to say where her concerns are coming from. And Javen was like, oh yeah, drop your concerns. And I thought, mate, she's dropping them whether you like it or not. At the end of the day, she's basically talked about how she's engaged and she's been planning her wedding for 18 months. Yeah. And then she's come along and says, well, used to literally just 2-3 weeks, and now you want to get married? Katisha is sitting back and listening. I don't know why she thought this would be a breeze with them two. So I know why Javen acts like the baby, because he is the baby of this family basically, and they treat him as such. It's the sister who is asking all the right questions. His mom ain't saying much at all, which surprises me. Like, I think she pretty much lets Javen do what he wishes to at the end of the day, and then falls along with it if it makes him happy. So Danielle asked them, what makes you compatible? And I thought, well, that's a damn cool question, because I don't see that they are. Katisha says, well, we connected in the pods through so many things. And Javen looking like he had deer in the headlights, because he ain't said shit right about now. He ain't stepped into the melee at all. So Danielle asked him, well, exactly pinpoint for me what those connections are. Katisha, I think, was hoping to get away with the blasé answer that she gave, yeah. And now it's time to delve deep. So she ends up saying they have similar family values to each other's family. Javen has become mute all of a sudden, and then they both say together that they are similar, maybe too similar. Again, Katisha does not answer the question fully, just skates over it, but Javen does step in to help her to be able to skate over it and give the bare minimum answer to his sister. So Javen's sister basically said that she has major apprehensions because she feels that it's way too quick, and feel that they both jumped straight into the deep end. So Katisha is speaking to Javen's sister and talks about how her and Javen are communicating differently, where she says she leads with emotion and Javen does not. His sister then explains that, Javen's a hard book to read, and says he will smile in any situation. Love, we've seen it, but I think Javen smiles in any situation because he necessarily doesn't want to open up to the person that he's with. If he's with a person that he truly feels that connection with and wants to open up with, he will do it. He will be serious, but he doesn't want to do that with Katisha. So she's basically playing it off like, you can't tell when he's angry or upset about anything or bothered about anything unless he explicitly says so, and he doesn't want to do it with Katisha. Daniel asked Katisha, like, is he bringing his walls down? No, he fucking isn't. No. So Katisha replies like, he's not been 100% vulnerable. And I thought, but he's not vulnerable at all. So Katisha is saying what she's saying. She's making his sister believe that he's being vulnerable sometimes when Javen's not. He shut that wall completely down. So his sister talks about how much Javen has been through, and that's why his walls are so high, and goes on to talk about his football academy days and how it impacted on him when it didn't work out. She goes on to say that, Javen doesn't like to bring those feelings up. And I would say, but that's in relation to his career and how it didn't work out, yeah. This man doesn't like to bring up his feelings regardless, to be honest. And that can't be used as an excuse as to the way that he is. It really can't. So now Katisha is going to be the girl that wants to fix this man. You can see it all over her. So Ashley ends up meeting Billy's dad and his dog Ollie. Situation is they were getting along fine. They really were getting along fine until Billy's dad decided to, on the prompt of Ashley, to be honest in regards to Billy coming into the process, where his parting words were his dad's were, "I will be fine as long as there's no air stewardesses on the show, because if there are, he would be back within the next week." But the man's ended up with one. I thought that's karma for your backside right there. So now you see Billy, as I would see, literally doing damage control with Ashley, because she's gonna feel some kind of way about the comment that the dad brought up. He does explain it more fully in regards to the first 6 months of what their marriage will look like, and they are willing to make it work. Ashley says to the cameras that she's not worried about the comment that Billy's dad brought up, because she's saying that they have worked through it. The job thing is a non-issue basically, but I don't think it's a fully non-issue, because it's going to keep rearing its ugly head again and again basically. So overall, the time, as I said, with Billy's dad went well, besides the comment that was brought up, but they worked through it both quite quickly. So it starts showing them all getting ready. So it's looking like the pod squad are going to meet up. And I thought, Lord of mercy, that's all we need now, because I'm telling you, some sort of drama is going to come, and I think it's going to be in the form of Sophie. When Sophie turns up, she is coming to prove a rotted point. Let me just put it that way. I ain't gonna lie, Megan and Kieran look good together. When they were walking up to that, they look good together, and I'm glad that he's got her back basically, as I think that Megan has better qualities than Sophie, to be honest. I just hope his head does not turn when he sees Sophie, because I thought that, Sophie was more his type and what he always went to. So Kieran is talking to Javen and says to him, they're talking about marriage and how they're feeling and stuff like that, and he's saying to him, you have to be in love if you're going to say I do, and they have to say it back. So he does talk feeling a little bit overwhelmed about the situation, but I'm telling you, his overwhelmness is not being shown to Megan. Let's say it that way. So this is all new emotions that I'm seeing coming from Kieran. So he tells Javi that you have to be genuinely wanting to see the rest of your life with the person, and that's very, very true, because if you can't, I don't see it working. So Javin decides to throw a spanner in the works, as you do, and says, well, what if you can see your life with them, but you are not in love with them yet? My answer would be, you're not ready for marriage. You're not ready to say I do then at all. So Kieran said, but my question then would be, how could you see the rest of your life with someone that you're not in love with? Yeah, Javin's not feeling Katisha at all, and he knows it, but he doesn't want to say it. And he turned around to Kieran and he says, well, I think that's the position that I may be in. And I thought, mate, from this point on, you may as well be honest. You don't see a future with Katisha at all. You don't love that girl. You're not going to love that girl. You just literally fell into a position because you just wanted to win a competition. That's all it was. He has enough about him that he's able to sleep with her. Yeah, but he don't want to take it any further. But he won't tell Katisha this. He won't tell her this at all. This is my issue. This man can sit there and open up with the bros. Yeah. But he can't do it with his fiancée. Basically, man said, I don't feel I am in love. I don't feel like that surprises anyone, because it didn't surprise me at the end of the day. Kieran says that he was surprised to hear what Javen said. I was like, mate, we could see a mile off. Literally, this man wants him to be able to get to a point where Javen can be confident to stand at the altar and marry Khadijah. I thought that's a pipe dream. That's an honest to God pipe dream right now. So as Kieran and Javen are still continuing to talk, Katisha comes over to ask Javen if he's okay and what they were chatting about. And I thought, mate, you truly don't want to know what they're chatting about. You really don't. And if you do, Javen's not going to tell you anyway. So both Kieran and Javen didn't say what they were talking about. That don't surprise me either. Kieran says, oh, we're just talking about marriage, weddings, and how we feel about that. Katisha basically says, it's not a lot to think about. For her, she's made a decision. I thought, oh, Lord. You well and truly was not picking up on the cues or the body language of Javen at that point at all. So Javen is literally, while Katisha's speaking about her making her decision, is poking a straw in his drink so fast I thought, mate, you're gonna drill a hole through that cup pretending that you're not looking at this girl at the end of the day. All the while he's smiling, and you do see Katisha turn and look at him as if to say, are we on the same page? No, you're not. I don't think you ever will be. So Javen says to the cameras like him and Katisha need more time. And he says it sounds like Katisha knows what she wants to do already, but he says there's a couple of weeks still to go, but she knows, but basically Javen is saying again she knows what she wants to do, and he wonders what that is. I thought, mate, you already know. This girl is showing she wants to marry you, and you're showing you don't want to marry her at the end of the day, but in essence you want to make her your girlfriend, even if it gets that far. Let's just put it that way. So Sarova, you see, speaks to Katisha and Megan about her mother and the pressure that she's getting from her mother right now and how it's impacting her. She basically talks about how her mum has been bombarding her with all her thoughts and anxieties, and Sarova says like she's been waking up to paragraphs and paragraphs of text messages. Me myself, I would have locked that off. Like, seriously, I understand like Sarova respects her mum, but this is Sarova's life at the end of the day, and her mum needs to understand that, like, instead of guilt tripping her, work with her, because it's not fair on Sarova actually, and it's really selfish of her mother to do what it is that she's doing. Katisha does ask Sarova like, is this a normal thing for your mother to do? And Sarova says, well, no, my mum's never been like this in my life. I was kind of saying, but yeah, her oldest daughter has decided to get married in an unconventional way, so it's kind of like she feels like she's lost control of her daughter at the end of the day, and now she's spiraling and pulling it all on Sarova, because she's saying, in essence, she's not approving of the manner of the way that this is going about, and she's putting her anxiety and what she feels on her daughter, which is unfair at the end of the day, because she needs to realise that her daughter's a grown-ass woman. Her daughter is able to make her own decisions that are good enough for her. And Sarova, in essence, needs to cease giving her mother the reins to her life, as she did do in the past at the end of the day. It's hard to do in order to allow your child enough space to make their own choices where they see fit. But at the end of the day, all you need to be there for them if it goes tits up, with no judgment involved at all. So you see Sarova was basically saying that she was ready to text her mum back and say, what you want me to do, forget all of this and come home? And then she basically says, well, no, I don't want to do that, because I don't want to drop Cal, because she believes Cal is the one for her. So she's saying it's almost like I'm putting my heart on the line for him. All I'm going to say is Sarova is taking a chance at happiness with Cal at the end of the day. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I have a feeling it will set her right back, if it doesn't work, into pleasing her mother and her family all over again, because she will see it as, if it doesn't work out with Cal, that she can't make the right decisions for herself. And for Sarova, it's going to be a very hard cross to bear. So, first person of the podcast squad comes in, Patrick. They do ask in terms of like Anu, and somebody says, I heard that, you know, on the grapevine that someone's saying that someone was leading someone on. Patrick told the lads that he thinks it was more friendship vibes with Anu. I would basically say it was no vibes with Anu at the end of the day, because that's what I got from it. He then says like he was there to get married and he didn't get that from her, essentially. I was like, mate, we didn't get that from both of you at all, to be honest, but more so from Patrick than from Anu. And then in walks Anu, and here we go with Sarova to the camera, literally talking about how she feels for Anu, because she feels Anu was blindsided. And I was like, no, she wasn't. She wasn't. She knew there was no alignment between the both of them at the end of the day. She knew things went south between the both of them over a period of days at the end of the day, and Patrick did the right thing in calling it a day. It's Anu who can't let go, because all Anu was thinking of, she wanted the ring and she was disappointed that Patrick didn't ask her to marry her. That's where that ended. So Anu greeted everyone, and after Jed, she went to Patrick, and Patrick just happened to say, "Oh, I'm Patrick," and she was like, "Oh no," and walked away from him. I thought, mate, that was childish and petty. Like, seriously, that was childish and petty on Anu's behaviour. Even Jed said to Anu, "You can't do that." She could have just said hello to him, to be honest, because although she feels Patrick did her wrong, there was no need for that. There really was no need for that. But we'll just see what happens next, because I'm gonna say her behaviour throughout this point is kind of messed up, to be honest with you. So Patrick just literally said, "You know what, I'm gonna let it go. It is what it is. That's fair." I mean, he had nowhere else to go with that, to be honest with you. And then you see Anu says to the cameras, seeing Patrick was underwhelming. But I call BS, because Anu is carrying on like she was hurt by the actions of Patrick at the end of the day, and hurt people will hurt people. So if he did choose her and did say, "Let's get married," she would not be acting the way that she is right now. She would not be saying it was underwhelming meeting this man at the end of the day, because she wanted him in those pods. She wanted him in those pods, because right now she's literally backlashing against this man. So Anu then sits there chatting shit about Patrick, and I thought, well, that's kind of off, to be honest with you. Patrick says he won't talk to Anu just yet, because like the energy is off, and you can tell that it's off, especially in the way that she reacted to him. And I mean, who will walk in and be like that, to be honest? That's all I'm saying. The girls are telling Anu that she at least needs to try and talk to Patrick to settle things between them. And I'm like, they're like, you can talk to him and you ain't got to see him again at the end of the day. I don't know why she felt so blindsided by Patrick though. Someone will have to explain it to me in the comments, because I know that Anu was hurt that Patrick didn't propose to her, and this is what I said from the beginning, that it was all about the ring and the marriage for her, and her calling someone husband and her being someone's wifey. I mean, it went downhill for them badly, and she was still expecting a ring after it. That's why I'm confused, so confused by her behaviour. So Anu and Javen are talking, and she's basically saying, "Well, why didn't we date more?" I thought, girl, bye on that note, you know what I mean? And Javen says, "Now that I've met you, I have a different opinion." So Anu asked him, "What, you wish we dated more?" Javen shows a lot of non-verbal body language through out of this whole process. Yeah, when he starts meeting the pod squad, let me just put it that way. Yeah, because he nodded, even though his mouth was saying, I mean, that's the show, innit? I thought, man, you ain't fooling nobody except Katisha at the end of the day with your behaviour. I think Javen had already clocked the cameras. He knew he was being watched. He couldn't do too much, but his behaviour said it all. Let me just put it that way. You see in the background Katisha watching Anu, yeah, and Javen laughing, because they were barely laughing with each other. So Barda turns around and see where she's looking, and she asks Katisha straight up, how you feel about Anu and talking to Javen? Katisha's trying to play it off as, "I'm not bothered." I'm like, but you are. You were so bothered that Barda had to ask you the question at the end of the day, because she saw how you were looking at them. So in comes Charlie and the beautiful Yolanda. Let me just put it this way, Javen could not take his eyes off of Yolanda at the end of the day. Even Anu had to tap this man on the shoulder, told him that, you know, it was Yolanda. And Anu was asking him, "What you looking at?" And then they start laughing, and Javen said, "You're going to get me into trouble." I says, "No, you're going to get yourself into trouble, friend. You're going to get yourself into trouble, friend, because you're like a little kid in a candy store right now." This was delightful, basically, as Javen was caught hawking up Yolanda, and then in walked Demola, and Katisha turned her whole head around. Katisha went right in for the hug, you know. Javen didn't seem to like that. His whole eyebrows nearly left his head, and Anu then asked him, "Are you okay?" He didn't say a thing but smiled. I thought, yeah, my man was feeling kind of way about that. He was feeling some kind of way about that. So now he's saying he's feeling fine about seeing Demola, and there's conversations to be had. And again, I'm like, but what about it exactly? So I don't understand why you need to chat to Demola even more, because you got Katisha to go talk to him. So insecure much, Javen, is what I would say. So Demola does greet him as a bro, and then we see Demola and Javen have a chat, and you see Katisha basically shouting out, "Who can lip read?" And I thought, mate, if you ain't got nothing to worry about, you ain't need to hear what they are saying at the end of the day. So Damola said, like, he knew Katisha had to make a decision, but to change it in 24 hours was mad. And I thought, mate, it was mad to all of us. It was fully mad to all of us, because we didn't know where that fucking came from. Damola said, is this something you want to risk on your wedding day at the end of the day? And I thought, Damola, you're not easy. Damola not easy, because he's sticking the insecure knife in, well and truly embedding that into Javen's head completely. So Damola said for him, it was a blessing in disguise, as he didn't trust the judgment of Katisha, to be honest. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm with Damola on that one, to be honest with you. He's literally letting Javen know that's what you wanted, so now it's for you to deal with at the end of the day. Damola was like, what are you going to tell your parents? What, she picked someone else 24 hours before? And Javen's sitting there agreeing with Damola, you know, like he didn't just take Katisha to meet his mum and his sister and didn't say a word about Damola and that situation. And Javen is already not in that space with Katisha. And this is what I say, he says one things to the boys, agrees with the boys when they air out X, Y and Z, yeah, but won't say anything to Katisha. She needs to know where he stands most of all, but the man don't trust that girl. He don't want to be with that girl, and that's the vibe that he keeps on giving on. So Javen is speaking to the camera. He's saying it's not 100% a yes for him right now in terms of being married to her. And I was like, mate, it's never going to be 100% at the end of the day with this girl, because I really well and truly don't think he found Katisha attractive when he first met her at all, even though she's a gorgeous woman. And then in walks Sophie, and Charlie does turn around and tell Kieran, like, don't turn around, like, seriously, mate. I was like, stay where you are, don't go search for trouble, because we all know why Sophie came tonight. So Sophie headed right to Charlie, you know, and hugged him and said who she was. So my thing is they already knew who Sophie was. And then she turned around and hugged Kieran and told her who he was. And Kieran told her who he was. And Megan was just sitting and watching, yeah. So Charlie said, like, as Sophie moved on, oh, she was hot, weren't she? And Kieran did laugh and said, oh, she's an attractive girl. Like, Javen, literally, you see him bent over from waist deep, looking directly at Kieran, and Kieran just laughed at him. And I thought, you know what, boys will be rotted boys at the end of the day. Kieran does say to the camera, yes, Sophie is attractive, and on a night out she would be someone that he would probably approach. Man giggles like a schoolboy. I think he's hella pissed because they were giving them drinks out willy-nilly, let me just put it this way. And Kieran, you could tell, was definitely 3 sheets to the motherfucking wind. Let me just put it this way. These men can't behave themselves at all. So Sophie does go over to hug Katisha, Sarova and Megan. For Megan, it was very, very awkward when Sophie came over, and you can see that completely. This woman literally turned around to Megan and says, I don't know how you let Kieran wear that pattern jacket. And I thought, excuse you, Miss Dang? He ain't your man? And basically Megan said that I love it and it suits Kieran. And to be fair, I thought, we can see what kind of demon time Sophie is on right now. Yeah, so how she pretended she didn't know who Kieran was is beyond me. Because I mean, he told her his name when she hugged him. So Megan says she knows to the camera her and Sophie was not close in those pods, and we could see that at the end of the day. So she was aware of Sophie's intention in the comments that she was making about Kieran to make her doubt Kieran. So I thought, yeah, Sophie needs to wind her neck in, as she came here to stir up trouble, ain't no doubt about it. So Javen's there saying that, you know, Sophie's alright, and he's laughing and he's giggling, and Billy says, well, you laughing and giggling in the way that you are says it all. He said, like, he definitely would talk to Sophie at a bar if he was on a night out, and I'm kind of like, well, you're on a night out now, mate, so what are you under? What are you doing? Do you know what I mean? So Yolanda's turning and saying to Javen, like, are you okay? Are you ready to be married? Are you vibing it? Are you feeling it? This man was quiet as hell. He was actually quite rude to Yolanda in terms of he started drinking his drink and not saying nothing. Like, it's that song, drink your water and mind your business. But do you know what I mean? His silence was hella loud, and it told us everything that we needed to know. And even Yolanda clocked it, because she turned to him and she said, okay, enough said. enough said. So Anu, in her infinite wisdom, decided to take Patrick for a talk. And I thought, okay, this is not going to be easy at all. So she wanted to know why Patrick didn't even contact her or send her a message. And I thought, for what though, Anu? That don't make no sense to me, because you ended it. Do you know what I mean? She says, I'm a what you see is what you get type of person. And he said he respects that. But Anu is not coming off righted in this conversation for me at all. She's coming from a place of hurt at the end of the day and upset by the actions of Patrick. And I said to you, I keep telling you, it was all about that ring that she didn't get from Patrick at the end of the day. So Patrick said he apologized for ruining her experience, and she kept on going on, well, you took that experience from me. But I'm kind of like, but there is no telling that you would form connections with anyone else at the end of the day. It seems like everyone spoke to everyone more than once and formed their connections when they were in the pods. Anu was not a part of that plan, and neither was Patrick. So for her to cop this attitude is beyond me at the end of the day. She's saying like, why didn't you tell me early on that you were not feeling it? And he said, I wasn't for the marriage. And she said, well, why didn't you tell me that? And he did when it mattered at the end of the day, as she was in it at the beginning as much as he was. And they both saw something drop off coming to the end of the pod. So it was down to them solely that they did not forge any other connections to fall back on. So they can't blame each other for that one, especially Anu, and how now she's kind of making herself look bad in front of everyone else in terms of how she's speaking to Patrick. Because let me tell you this girl was not essentially quiet at the end of the day. She was airing that business and her displeasure in front of everybody, and literally singing at him from the top of her voice, you're a liar, to Patrick. And Patrick is laughing. And he was like, at least she sang to me, do you know what I mean? Because she's singing it to her. And everybody's watching this conversation take place. And I'm like, can't nobody tell them to take it outside? Because, this is embarrassing. Like, seriously. And then she starts to insult the man about his entire attire. And I was like, mate, are you done? Like, seriously, are you done? Because at the end of the day, Patrick was right. A decision had to be made. And seeing how she's acting tonight, he was happy for the decision that he did make. All the others are finding this funny. And I'm just sitting there looking at how Anu is behaving towards Patrick. And I'm like, are you not embarrassed? Because really, like, no. I was like, Anu, no. Stop. Just literally stop. I like the fact that Kieran went to Megan as time went on and said to her like he felt like he needed to have this chat with Sophie. And so she said to him, that's fine. And I thought, that's how it's done in terms of being respectful of your partner's feelings. So he said thank you like to Sophie as she was getting a drink from the bar for his experience in the pods and the connection that they did develop, and he did enjoy it. He talks about the gift that he gave to Megan and apologizes for her feeling disrespected by that, because he did make his decision, but he obviously didn't deal with it in the best way. And I thought, well done to you, Kieran. Like, seriously, well done for you, Kieran. And Kieran talked about, like, you know, she's being all nicey with the man at the moment about her not dealing with rejection well. Basically, as I said previously, she's a bit of a prima donna and always thinks she should get what she wants at the end of the day, so I'm not surprised by that. Kieran basically wanted to clear the air, which is what he did. All I'm going to say again is Kieran was pissed. So props to him that he was hella respectful in that conversation, unlike Anu with Patrick at the end of the day. So Kieran goes back to Megan while Ashley's there and says to Megan, like, I'm actually quite confused, because when he was talking to Sophie, he got the same Sophie, which was Pod Sophie. And Megan said, of course you would though, at the end of the day. And it's true, Sophie is not going to show you the true essence of herself, because that gal was not very nice in the women's quarters. Let me just put it this way. And Megan basically says that it's annoying because she has seen a different side to Sophie than what Kieran has, which is true. I felt they should have left the conversation there, but they did go into it more, as I think Kieran was saying he was confused And I think Meg may have felt invalidated by what Kieran was saying and not believing Megan's word on how she experienced Sophie within the women's quarters. So Megan was basically saying to the camera that she's very anti-Kieran, that she's very much protective of him and doesn't want him to feel mugged off by anybody. And he literally liked that. He liked that and started kissing Megan. You see Sophie look around quickly and then quickly look away, as I have the feeling that she thought she had Kieran, but she really and essentially didn't. So Sophie is basically saying, I think it's to Katisha and Sarova, that, oh no, Kieran's not her type or who she would normally date. So Sophie is saying to the cameras that, like, you know, she saw Javen, he's a good looking guy, and she thought like he looks exactly how she would expect him to look. And then she goes on to say that she didn't really see Javen and Katisha as a couple. I thought, trouble's brewing here. Trouble's gonna be brewing here. So she says, I hope they get married because she's all there for love and da-da-da-da-da-da. And I thought, mate, you ain't hoping they get married in the slightest. So Javen decides to pull Sophie for a chat, like them in the pods or something like that. And she basically turns around to him and says, well, I can't sit on these bar stools in this dress. And he said, why? And she said, well, Javen, unless everyone's to see my vagina. And I thought, what the fuck was that? Why would you tell him that? Why would you point that out? And if Javen had any scruples about him, he should have bowed out of that conversation from there. But no, that man did not move. That man was all giggle, thinking that was funny. He was like, oh, do you know what? So she asked Javen, like, are you happy? Do you feel like you made the right choice? This man said, I'm always happy. I thought, dude, that's not answering the question. And Sophie did call him out on not answering the question and told him to be honest. This man replied again with, I'm always happy. I thought, come on, dude, like, seriously. So Sophie again told him, tell the truth. I mean, the truth is in his non-answers, really. You've got the answer that you needed. So he said, there are still hurdles to overcome. Again, not really an answer at the end of the day. So he said he would be lying if he sat there and said, yeah, it's like 100% between the both of them. This man is full of it, yeah. He ain't sure, like, he doesn't like Katisha. He didn't like that girl since he met her. That's what I'm going to say. So you see Katisha talking to Yolanda about how happy she is and that Javen's meeting her family tomorrow, and say she's nervous but isn't worried because, you know, Javen is this cool and chill person. I'm like, mate, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. But while she's saying all of this, Javen is 2 persons down, steadily flirting with Sophie and telling peoples that he ain't happy with her. This man said to Sophie, when she asked, what do you want from me? When she said, like, you know, she's not dating, he goes, nothing. And then he tacked on nothing right now. I was like, bitch, please, Taratid. Sophie laughed so hard at that. Both of them laughed so hard at that, yeah. And he's saying, whilst he's in a room with his fiance, yeah, he's saying all of this, we'll see in his room with his fiance, 2 persons down deep, because Katisha keeps on looking at him and Sophie because they're laughing so hard with each other, and you can tell that they're full on flirting with each other, yeah. And I thought, Katisha, you reap what you sowed with this man. Like, he's a total fuckboy. He's an absolute footboy, and he's totally the type of person that I think Katisha normally drops off with. So Javen thinks like he's being discreet because, you know, as I said previously, all the cameras are there. But we know what the fuck he's saying. We be reading between the lines and picked up what he was putting down for Sophie, and she was picking it up and running with it. Let me just put it that way. So Katisha is talking to Yolanda, like saying she believes Sophie is a nice girl, but Sophie can't see past herself. And she's kind of like, I'm kind of like, mate, she's making a play for your man because Javen knows he ain't gonna marry you. Katisha keeps on looking back at Sophie and Javen. So then it goes back to Sophie and Javen with her saying, I just thought like we really connected. I mean, we didn't see their dates, so I can't say anything different. Javen said, well, I think so too. And Sophie ends up saying, well, I feel like we had something. I was like, why my backside? Oh, Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. And Katisha then here is like, if she can take my man, she can have him. I was like, mate, he was never your man to begin with. That's the issue. Katisha says, like, she's secure in her relationship with Javen. And I'm like, but Javen ain't secure with you, my love. And he's showing this in his behaviour and how he's speaking to Sophie right now. So Javen literally is standing there with a drink in his hand and keeps looking dead at Sophie, yeah. And she turns around and she's like, what? And he's like, I didn't say anything. I'm like, mate, we can all see you. The looks are saying you want to dick this girl down. That's what he's saying. I want to fuck Sophie bad. But I literally can't put that out on camera. This is what his behaviour he's saying. This is what we're picking up, what he's putting down when it comes to Sophie. So Javen feels like there is still more to unpack with his and Sophie's conversation. They keep belly laughing so hard that Katisha is very much aware of them. So then Javen goes, oh, you don't live far from here, do you? And she's like, literally 5 minutes up the road. And she asks why, and he goes like, I'm just asking. And then he turns to Sophie and says like, you are naughty and you know you gotta stop. I was like, bitch, please. At this point, bitch, please. You ain't gotta stop nothing because we literally getting your number. You see, Katisha is pissed at this point and she walks off. So then where the episode would have normally ended, they show us a 1 hour later and you see Katisha and Javen in the flat together getting something to eat. So this man is literally saying like it was good to see everyone. Katisha looked pissed and he could see Katisha look pissed. Yeah, so she was like, how was your chat with Sophie? This man had the audacity to squint his eyes before he's answered and said like, yeah, she's interesting, she's funny. I was like, what is this for real? Katisha can't see how disrespectful this man is being to her, or at least she can get an inkling how disrespectful that he's being, yeah. And he turned around and says, yeah, Sophie's good banter. Katisha turned around and said, I see. I don't think you truly see love. I really don't. This man switches then to Demola and his chat with him. I told you this man ain't worth it yet. He's not honest or trustworthy. He will throw shade in Katisha's face, then make it about her when the questioning was about him. And of course Katisha takes the bait. He doesn't really tell her what was said with him and Demola, but just literally talks in riddles. So to me, Katisha at that end of the conversation just literally gave up, said she was tired, was going to go to bed, but she still gave him a kiss. That man wouldn't have even got that from me. Wouldn't have got that from me at all. This man then turned around while Katisha was downstairs on the bed on her phone, said, oh, I'm going to go out. So he called somebody. You hear the guy on the phone and he asked like, where you at? And they said they're at GAY. And he says like he's going to make his way up there. Is that where you're going to be staying? And the dude said yeah. So he went downstairs and he asked Katisha like, are you staying in? And she says yeah. And he went, okay then, I'll see you later because I'm off out. This man could literally see that this girl, A, was upset, B, was deflated, and didn't even want to stay back to try and fix things with her. And that says it all, yeah. So now as he's left, this gal is lying on the bed crying her heart out because she knows she picked a guy she's dealt with before and pushed a man out that would have given his all to her. I can't be sad for her. I couldn't be sad for her at this point. And this is where this episode ended. But I'll be quite back in quick succession with the next episode. As I always say, my renegades and those coming in, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that notification bell so when you know I'm doing videos. Please comment, like, share and do the good things that you do because I continue to be on the road to 1k. Peace out, my lovely people.